Good morning, Yonkers. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. A lot's going on here in the city of Yonkers. LoHud finally reporting on the nepotism here in the city of Yonkers, and the New York Post has picked up the story. Good morning, folks. Good morning, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered, coming to you in the morning because I've been getting home and I've been tired. That's why I didn't go on last night. And so I wanted to get this out. I wanted to discuss the nepotism, which I've already been discussing here in the city of Yonkers. I've talked about this. I mean, I'm not the first. People have all been talking about this, and but I've been recently talking about it on the podcast, connecting dots, and finally, we seeing major publications putting it out there. But it's not the first time. It's not the first time. But a couple of days ago, the LoHud put out the nepotism article that some of us have been anticipating. I knew about something like this going to be dropping probably about 2 months ago. I was anticipating it, and then 2 weeks ago I heard it would be dropping, and then it finally dropped. And then the New York Post picked up the article or the story, which is even bigger because that's even gets a wider audience, right? It's widely more widely distributed. So I want to go over that article really quick here in the New York Post. Yonkers Mayor Spano has 14 relatives on city payroll, totaling $2 million. But there are more. There are individuals who don't have the Spano last name, individuals who are the children of the children, so there are more. There are a lot. And it's caused a lot of problems for city residents and among city employees who are not a part of the nepotism system or the family and friends network when it came to promotions and treatment within the workplace. And they have complained. They have reached out to Basement Politics. Three-term Yonkers Mayor Spano has so many family members on the city payroll that the locality could be renamed Spano Inc., critics charge. There are at least 14 relatives on the city municipal payroll, totaling $2 million of taxpayer money. Mike Spano, a Republican turned Democrat, is running for a fourth term after the Yonkers City Council suspended term limits for a second time. And that was the legislation introduced by Council President Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, who has done nothing else but that and was utilized to take out Mike Cater. The number of Spano relatives paid by the city taxpayers may even be higher because the figures does not include the separate payroll of the Yonkers School District, city political insiders said. The family employment is becoming a headache for Spano issue in his re-election bid, with both Democrats and Republicans accusing the mayor of nepotism. So again, this is bipartisan. This is not normal. This is a clear conflict of interest, said Yonkers Councilwoman Pineda Isaac, and I'll get to her in a second, a Democrat who is challenging Spano in the Democratic primaries. There are residents in the city who can't get jobs because of the Spano family. Ron Matten, a Republican who ran for city council in 2021, blamed the suspension of term limits for expanding the Spano's influence in city government to control and remain in power. I do believe it's nepotism. This is what happens when someone has an unfettered ability to run for office. 12 years produces a great scotch, but a terrible elected official, Matten said. Mike Spano's youngest brother, Vincent Spano, my former buddy, is the Yonkers city clerk. Vincent's wife and Mike Spano's sister-in-law, Jamie McGill Spano, is the executive director of the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency, which approves tax breaks for businesses. Mike Spano, as mayor, is the chairman of the Yonkers IDA. McGill Spano's salary skyrocketed 76% since her hire in 2014, from $85,000 to $150,000 a year. Because of the family connection, Mike Spano recused himself from voting on McGill's 11% raise to $150,000 in 2022. So while most people were struggling coming off the pandemic, city officials were getting raises to the tune of 11%. 11%. And Jamie McGill Spano does not like this. I'm sure she's bugging out. She is bugging out. She is bugging out. She emailed me a couple times to tell me not to tag her. I was tagging the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency. I wasn't tagging Jamie McGill Spano personal page or her name. I was tagging the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency on posts that I was making about it. They give the tax breaks to the developers. All these developers that are clients of Nick Spano, the brother of Mayor Spano, through his lobbying firm, Empire Strategic Planning, get tax breaks, millions and millions of dollars that they do not have to pay to the city of Yonkers because of the IDA, which the mayor is the chairman, his sister-in-law is the executive director, and the president is James Kavanaugh, the husband of Wilson Kimball, the CEO of Municipal Housing Authority in the city of Yonkers, but more importantly, the chairwoman of the Zoning Board of Appeals. They're the ones that are changing all the zoning laws so the developers could build anywhere, build higher, build with less parking, build with no parking, do whatever they basically want, because Wilson Kimball is there to see to it that Nick Spano's clients get whatever it is they need, including city property, which they've bought below market value. And what qualifications does Jamie McGill Spano have for the position? Probably none. No experience, no education, no qualifications that would make her a candidate for the executive director of the YIDA. Also, that would make her a candidate to receive such a high raise. These individuals are doing better than top-level executives in the private sector. That doesn't make any sense. Not at all. So Jamie McGill Spano, I'm sure she's very upset that the fact that her picture is now in the New York Post. Forget basement politics. You are in the Post, and it's not a positive thing, Jamie. It's not. Another Spano brother, former state senator Nick Spano, has a lobbying firm, Empire Strategies, is actually Empire Strategic Planning, whose clients have business before the IDA. That's a conflict of interest. Clients include AMS, the landlord of John Rubo's Yonkers Brewing Company. John Rubo also sits as the chair of the real estate committee. So you see the racketeering. It's a racket. It's a racket. Including the client's business before the IDA, including receiving tax abatements, the pilots, according to reports. A former Nick Spano staffer, actually, he is listed as a partner, not a staffer, is James Kavanaugh, president and CEO of the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency. That's the husband of Wilson Kimball, the CEO of Macy and chair of the zoning board. So you see how they position individuals in order to be able to do whatever it is they want for the developers. Do you think that they are not making any money by doing this? You'd be a fool to think that. And how does that impact you? Well, there are many individuals, many residents here in the city of Yonkers who are complaining about the developments, where they're being placed, how tall they're being built, the amount of people they're bringing in, the congestion that it's bringing in, the traffic, the density. It's disrupting and destroying communities, but they don't care. That doesn't matter if you go before them and speak your piece. They will do what they are planning on doing anyway. 22 to 24 movie studios. Is that what you want here in Yonkers? 22 to 24 movie studios. Drive down Warburton by the DSS building and see that big studio they're building there. What sense does that make to have that there? Imagine the vehicles coming in and out. You have to think about the future, right? So 7 Spano nieces and nephews were hired in civil service jobs since he took office in 2012. They passed entrance exams. They are Yonkers firefighters, Gerard Gannon and Anthony Carragine, police officers Nicholas Spano, Leonard Spano, Vincent Spano, and Joseph Gannon, and clerk Victoria Carragine, right? Related to Anthony. According to LoHud, the mayor's sister, Camille, works as an aide to Councilman John Rubo, as well as a Sage relative. I believe her name is Melissa Sage. Could be wrong on that name, but as a sage nonetheless. Other relatives were hired before Spano became mayor. The mayor's brother, Joseph, is an environmental maintenance worker. His cousin, John Spano, is a fire lieutenant. His nephew, Lenny Spano, who I hear is a good guy. I got to put that out there. Everyone says he's a good guy. He's a hard worker. I got to be fair, is a manager of trash collection. Even the hires of Spano relatives through the civil service exam are suspect because favoritism may land them promotions over others because their connections to the mayor, Pineda Isaac said. But it's true. That's what other people have said. People who actually work within the city that are working hard, that have been there 20 plus years, and they see a guy come in because he is part of the family and friends network and move up quickly while doing less work. And that's discouraging. And that produces a work environment that's, not conducive for the productivity, right? Spano, contacted by the Post, forwarded statements he provided to LoHud saying his large family is dedicated to Yonkers. Hard work has been a driving factor for my family for generations, dating back to my grandfather and great uncle who immigrated from Italy a century ago and started their own fuel business. Like many immigrant families, they instilled a strong work ethic in us. And for some, that translated to public service and a commitment to their community, the mayor said. I have a very big family and almost all of them have chosen to live in Yonkers. The vast majority do not work for the city. I'm proud of all of them regardless of where they work because by living here, they show a dedication to Yonkers. He continued, I am not the boss of any members of my family. Those who are police officers, firefighters, and administrators were hired through competitive civil service exams that are open to everyone. Other family members were hired before I became mayor. All report to their supervisors, not me. Spano said that projects presented to the IDA are vetted by an outside consultant. And who is that, right? And insisted there's no favoritism. In response to concerns raised about the clients of lobbyist brother Nick with business before the agency. So, he's saying that there's no conflicts of interest. They have an outside independent company that vets these projects, but that's not true. They're not really independent. They want to continue getting their contract with the city. So they have to play ball. That's the same with PF O'Connor, who recently changed their name. But they have been the independent auditors for the city of Yonkers forever, and that needs to be rotated. We need to have true independent auditors and true independent inspector generals, Yonkers ethics board members, but we don't. The Yonkers Inspector General is Liam McLaughlin, the former city council president, a Republican, the guy that Mike Cater beat, a foe, a nemesis to Mike Cater, the guy that's helping keep Cater out or help him keep him out of this election with the phony investigation. And that's important. A comment on ethics regarding the Spano family in government. This article was written by a former Yonkers Inspector General, Phil Zeisman. And I think it's a great article. Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano has been in office for almost 12 years, and now he is running for a fourth term. This would give him 16 consecutive years in office. Yesterday, Journal News LoHud investigative reporter David McKay Wilson revealed that there are currently at least 15 members of the Spano family on the city payroll. This family collectively earns $2 million annually from tax-paying citizens of Yonkers. These facts speak for themselves. Here are some additional facts. The city of Yonkers used to have term limit law, which required the mayor and city council to leave office after 2 terms or 8 years. Implicitly, the term limits law recognized that it's a privilege to serve the citizens of Yonkers in elective office, but it isn't a lifelong entitlement, nor is it a jobs program for the mayor's family. The mayor and the city council, which the mayor influences heavily, have now twice voted to extend term limit law, first to allow for a 3rd term and now to allow for a 4th term. There is nothing that would prevent the mayor and the city council from extending their terms again and again. And this is why we have to draw the line. The Yonkers Board of Ethics, which we're not sure if it exists or not, charged with investigating and reporting on conflicts of interest, including hiring practices, seems to have not issued a public ethics opinion or report on an ethics investigations in many years, because I don't think they exist anymore. At least 2 of the board members listed on the city's websites are dead. They're deceased. So how can they, bring up any investigations? And it is unclear whether the terms of the other members have expired. Similarly, Yonkers Inspector General Liam McLaughlin has issued only one relatively minor report since his appointment in 2020. As stated on the official government webpage, the IG is supposed to serve as an independent internal watchdog tasked with detecting and deterring fraud, waste, and abuse, as well as promoting ethical, fiscal, and legal accountability in the city government. But how is that possible when Liam McLaughlin has a tight relationship with the Spanos? Vinny Spano said, "That's my boy. Liam is my boy, and he's going to back him no matter what." This is what he said out of his own mouth. So how can we expect Liam McLaughlin to look into these hiring practices or this wasteful spending or these titles that have been created for friends and family? What else has he done besides investigate Mike Cater for a quid quo pro? That is nonsense. Yet he has not said anything about John Rubo and AMS and his lease there. Nothing at all. And what's crazy is that the Office of Inspector General gets about is getting $729,000 for its 2023 budget. So what are they using that money for? They're not investigating anything in anyone other than Mike Cater. So why do they need over $700,000? The collapse of the ethics enforcement in our city underscores the need for term limits to be reinstated in Yonkers. That's why I'm supporting the voters' referendum to be placed on the ballot in this year's election in November that would reinstate the city's term limits. Let the people decide if they want term limits. Common sense dictates that a mayor shouldn't have 14 members of his family on the city payroll and that no elected official should be allowed to serve 16 consecutive years in office. We need term limits in Yonkers. Phil Zeisman was the first Inspector General of the city of Yonkers, serving from 1998 to 2010, and briefly served on the Yonkers Board of Ethics. So he knows about this. He would know better than anyone. And so if he's saying that there's a problem here, then why isn't Liam McLaughlin saying there's a problem here? He is the first Inspector General. He actually was the guy that wrote up the guidelines for the Office of Inspector General here in the city of Yonkers. So why isn't Liam McLaughlin investigating any of these concerns that the people of the city of Yonkers have? Corazon Pineda Isaac, as a city councilwoman, why aren't you writing up a letter asking the city inspector general to investigate this? Similarly to the way you wrote up a letter asking him to investigate Mike Cater. I'm sure Anthony Moranti will sign it. That's two right there. We know the other ones are bought up. Why don't you do that, Corazon Pineda Isaac, councilwoman of the 2nd District? You did it for Mike Cater. We can't half-step here. The half-stepping makes it appear that you are not really for winning this election and that maybe you're just keeping others away. That's what people are saying. And some people say, Freddie, you're crazy. Why would she spend this money? Why would she? You got to make it look real, okay? This is Hollywood on the Hudson, remember? It's all about movies and fantasies. So the mayor's nephew made over $207,000 in 2021. In 2022, according to the LoHud article, he made $202,000. That's more than the mayor. He makes more than the mayor. His title is maintenance worker. What education, degrees, experience, knowledge does he have? Specialty, any skill sets for him to earn over $200,000? There are executives, there are doctors that don't make that much money, and they went to school for many, many years. So how is this individual making over $200,000? And there's so many people like this in the city of Yonkers. A lot of them are family members, $240,000, $290,000. That's crazy. In a city that's almost $3 billion in debt. That's crazy. Taxes have gone up 2.9%. So you folks say, oh, it's doing a great job. Look at all the changes that have made. What changes? The tall buildings that are bringing in more people who are going to be renters utilizing all of the utilities and, first responder services, police, fire departments, and other services here in the city of Yonkers. But they're not going to be paying as much taxes. The developers are getting tax breaks. So who's going to bear the burden of supplementing the additional need of revenue from the city of Yonkers? We see that the budget has been, put out there. Moranti is blaming the state, saying that the state has not given us our fair share once again. We're $3 billion in debt. Many people have been promoted, and these salaries are just crazy. So how are we ever going to get out of that debt? How are we ever going to improve the school district? $500 million is needed just to bring the school district up to par, to do renovations and to build the needed schools. So far, we have one. It's gone super over budget. Twice as much to build this one school as the Charter School of Excellence on Warburn needed to build their high school. Maybe he should be in charge of the Yonkers Public School District, the guy that runs that charter school. By the way, Liam McLaughlin's mom, right, the Inspector General's mom, the guy that's tied in with the Spanos, his mom led the coalition to keep Yonkers segregated. During the 80s and the desegregation case, she was fighting to keep it segregated. Her coalition that she led was the reason why the city of Yonkers was fined millions of dollars for not following or cooperating with the judgment issued by the court. A racist. You can see the videos. Still on YouTube. I've shared them. The way she speaks about people from the South and Southwest side. Nothing but crackheads and gangbangers. We don't want them on our side. And there's still a level of that sentiment that still exists today here in the city of Yonkers. And why? Because many of the individuals that are in politics, in our government, are individuals that have been in our politics forever, or are the relatives, the sons, the daughters of those who have run the city of Yonkers, the people that wanted to keep it segregated. And so we have to change that. That's what this year represents. Time to vote for difference. The right elected officials. Who is covered under nepotism? That's what I want to read. This is what I want to show. What is nepotism? How does it affect you, right? It's important. And there you go, see the mayor, he's right there, New York Post. Boom. Can't hide now. Actually, this goes back for what I want to talk about. This is nothing new here in the city of Yonkers. This is an article from 2002. And I want to read it because I want to show you, give you an idea of what it looks like when an inspector general is actually doing his job. The mayor of this city, the state's fourth largest at the time, is at the center of a local ethics investigation examining the number of his relatives who are on the city payroll or who benefit from city spending. The city council this week forwarded the city's inspector general a complaint by a Yonkers resident about Mayor John D. Spencer, a Republican, and his chief of staff, Catherine Spring, who lives with him. The complaint said that at least a dozen relatives of the two were on the city payroll or employed by agencies affiliated with Yonkers and companies doing business with the city. But beneath the accusations of nepotism simmer a fierce battle among Republicans for control of the local party. So even back then, 2002, they were accusing John Spencer of this. This was an issue. So why hasn't this inspector general or our city council create legislation to stop this or prevent nepotism? Create some kind of nepotism law here in the city of Yonkers. Instead of extending term limits, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, as the first Black woman city council president, it would have been dope if you had introduced legislation making nepotism illegal here in Yonkers. Outlining it, being very specific, so we wouldn't have this issue, so we can have the full trust in our government, which it lacks. It lacks. There's no trust in our government whatsoever. And it doesn't matter because you're Black or because you're Latina, that the Latinos and Blacks are going to have trust in it. They're seeing through all that now. They understand identity politics. So back then, the city council wrote a letter or forwarded a letter from a resident to the inspector general, and he began to investigate. So why, Corazon, have you not forwarded a letter the same way you did with Mike Cater and asked Liam McLaughlin to investigate? Put him to the test. If he doesn't, then you can show people. There you go. You see what I mean? Our city inspector general does not do anything. He is part of the Spano team. So that, if folks, you have to see this, right? You have to write letters, write a letter, an email to Corazon Pineda Isaac, as well as Anthony Moranti, asking that they write a letter to the inspector general seeking an investigation into this nepotism stuff, as they did in 2002. Why not? 2018, Yonkers Mayor Mike Spano accused of nepotism for promoting cousin to fire lieutenant. Yonkers mayor promoted his cousin and 2 other firefighters to lieutenant without any vacancies and less than 12 hours before a 4-year promotion list expired, according to documents obtained by the Journal News. Had the city waited for the new civil service promotion list for the fire lieutenants, officials would have been able to pick prospects with higher scores. So they did this so they can get these individuals in instead of the ones with higher scores. The list shows the top scorers of the most recent fire lieutenant's exam, and the new promotion list was released 3 days after the previous list expired. Mayor Mike Spano's recent promotion of his cousin to fire lieutenant when no vacancy existed just hours before the promotion list expired flies in the face of the anti-nepotism rule in the city's code of ethics. Oh, so there is one. So enforce it. Ethics and civil service law requirement, said Yonkers Fire Union President Barry McGooey. And this is why they want me to talk negatively about Barry. They've been dying for me to say something negatively about Barry. But I ain't, because when I saw Barry bring the firemen up to the Castle Royale to protest at an event that the mayor was having, I thought that was showing some balls, and I had a lot of respect for that man that day. Say what you want about Barry. At the end of the day, as a human being, yeah, we're going to want to make sure we're good. But he still had the courage to show up there with his members, and shout out to you guys. And he got what he wanted. The promotions were made on February 5th and chosen from a 4-year-old civil service list, that expired at midnight on February 6th. So they grabbed them before that expired. The firefighters who were promoted, John Spano, who is the Mayor Spano's cousin, Michael Girox, Ronnie Williams, ranked among the top 4 on the expired list and appeared on the new list, said Christina Gilmartin, spokesperson for the Mayor Spano. And we see Christina Gilmartin's name all over contributions list. She's part of the in crowd. As mentioned by many, we don't have those friends and families employed by the Board of Education, Yonkers Parking Authority, Municipal Housing Authority, and IDA. Also, how many are employed by the County of Westchester and similar connections? Yeah. Where does one apply as maintenance worker in Yonkers? Salaries, beans, and retirement. Sheesh. I'm telling you, right? I want to be a maintenance worker, man. I mean, and you get to spend 45 minutes attending to personal business during your work hours. So, I mean, it's a great job. There's a sweetheart deal, 1,000%. 1,000%. And these are many of the Spanos. Again, Victoria, one of the sister's daughters, John Lennon, firefighter, Eleanor's son, Ryan Delaney, Nick's son-in-law, Dominic Pellegrino, DPW, sister's son-in-law, Vincent Napolitano, sister's son-in-law, Brian Napolitano, I guess, Lenny Spano's best friend, Nick Spano, cop, Anthony Carragine, firefighter, Eleanor's son, Rosa Sudo, Joey Spano's stepdaughter, Jamie McGill, Steve Squig, that's the nephew of the mayor, Eleanor's son. Oh, it's Eleanor's son? Oh, Eleanor, is that why you so mad at me, Eleanor? I'm so sorry, boy. You gave me some mean look. She gave me a mean look at the Hispanos for Spanos. Eleanor. Glenn D. Brozio, Eleanor's son. Joey Gannon, cop, sister's son. So, I mean, these are some of the employees, and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars while our schools don't have pennies for anything, mats for our cheerleaders, money, equipment for the sports teams. We have to combine them. It's sad. It's unbelievable that we don't get anything And these individuals are enriching themselves. How many people have applied to be a cop, DPW worker, fireman, or another position within the city and have been waiting forever, waiting, and still waiting, and you've done well on the exams? How many people have not been promoted when you should have? And those who have been promoted should not have. How many employees in the city of Yonkers watch out as people in the family and friends network get to do nothing and still get paid, and paid more than you? It's frustrating. It's counterproductive. It's a waste of money. It creates this group of entitled individuals who will attack you and your family and spread rumors about you. He's just jealous. He's mentally unstable. He just has a personal grudge. They will say anything to deflect and avoid from the fact that they are stealing from us. They have been pillaging the city of Yonkers for far too long. And it sickens me to see people comment in support of criminality, theft of our city, tax money. These jobs that are hoarded by these individuals prevent others from getting jobs, prevent others from attaining any level of success and achieving financial security, achieving, getting those benefits and health insurance that they get. How many individuals, would love to have a $200,000 job with the city? That is why our pension expense is so much. A lot of our money goes to salaries and pension. So when the people or the officials say we don't have money, the state doesn't give us enough money, that's because they're using all the money that we do receive to pay themselves. And then to pay themselves once they retire. And what did they do? What did Mike Breen do for the city of Yonkers that he will deserve a pension for the rest of his life? Many of them receiving pensions for the rest of their lives, but having done nothing for the city. What is the return on that investment? So no, I don't have a personal grudge. I am not jealous. Because unlike you, I don't care about money. I'm not materialistic. I've come to realize that that is shallow. That doesn't bring happiness. And that develops an individual that's not nice. That's selfish. That's entitled. That believes they're superior. And that is exactly who many of these individuals are. And while they present a certain way, who they truly are is not nice. And so, no, this is not personal. This is to bring awareness and transparency to the people of the city of Yonkers who have been unaware for far too long. And more people are waking up, are seeing it. They're coming to basement politics. Yes, little by little, they're starting to see what's really happening here in the Yonkers and why sidewalks on South Broadway have not been fixed for 25 years, as Jessica Jordan states. Yeah, they haven't been fixed for 25 years because the money is going into their pockets, because they don't care about the Southwest side. Until now, until they're ready to push everybody out and bring in luxury developments. So you have to care about this. You have to become active. You have to organize. We must continue to speak out, and it's growing. Shout out to the Yonkers Ledger. You're doing an amazing job. I like what you guys are doing there. Finally, we have a online newspaper that's bringing truth and transparency, that's not compromised, that's articulating the issues very well. Shout out to you, Mark. Shout out to Phil Zeisman on that article. Shout out to the Yonkers Ledger. If you're not following them, make sure you follow them. It's time that we change the way business is done here in the city of Yonkers. It's time that we get involved. It's time that we let them know we are no longer afraid. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you for joining me. Continue to spread the podcast. Folks, I love you all. I promise you I'm here for you. Again, I don't make a penny off this. It's not my goal. I don't want anything, unlike these individuals. I'm not looking for anything other than for you to become aware, educated on the issues, educated on our elected officials, what they are doing and what they are not doing, where the city is headed. And you need to come out and vote. It's very important. You must come out to vote. Do not allow them to vote for you, choose for you. Make sure you get your own ballot. And if you can, go out to vote the same day. That ballot system is not any good to me. But anyway, folks, thank you for joining me. Continue to share the podcast and let them know we're not taking any more. Enough is enough. We're out of here. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Enjoy your Thursday. Stay dry. Do not pay attention. It's unbelievable, folks. They're really trying to hurt me and my business, and they have. They have cost me a lot of money. Cost me a lot of money. But we're going to hang in there. We're going to fight hard, and we're going to stay here. So, folks, if you know anyone that needs daycare, QPK, after-school programming, send them to Little Prodigies. Send them to Little Prodigies. We are an amazing place. Come by, check it out, see what we're all about. I don't think you're going to find a better place for your child. I can guarantee you that, but I want you to see for yourself. So if you know anyone or yourself, come by. You can give us a call at 853. I forgot the phone number. They gave us this weird number. Such a weird number. Actually, you can just call 914-355-7766. Say you're calling to learn more about Little Prodigies, after-school programming, tutoring, family counseling. We do a lot, we help children with speech therapy, language, English for your, children that have come to the country who are, learning the English language. We help with that. We allow children who have therapists who need to see a therapist throughout the day. The therapist will come in to the center there, and they will see the child, pull out the child, and do what they need to do. So, we do a lot of, extra additional, things that you may not find at other childcare UPKs or after-school programming. We're very aware of a lot of this. And very soon I will be having my wife come on to discuss IEPs and also special education here in the city of Yonkers. She did a parent tour yesterday for students who are in special education program who will be transitioning into the high school. And so she did a tour with them. They loved it. They felt very good about that program there because my wife, was the one that gave them the tour. She's great at what she does. And so she will be coming on to actually talk about that because I said to her, I think that's important. A lot of people have questions about IEPs. A lot of people have questions just about, the educational system here in the city of Yonkers in general. And so she's here to, she's going to come on to answer questions about that. If you have a student that is in the special education program and they may be transitioning into the high school soon, you may want to tune in. I'll definitely announce that, but it's going to be very informative. So I'll be doing more of those. It's not a bashing anybody or bashing schools. This is about information, for parents. That's important that they, many parents have asked about, are confused about, or struggling to get help with. So, we're going to put it on here so we can reach out more people. So check out for that if you're interested. Anyway, folks, have a beautiful day. I got to get back to the office.
Let's get it
You're
poppin'.
watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Let's get it poppin'. Let's get it poppin'.
Thank you for watching Basement Politics with my husband, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality.